In Generation 9, we were introduced to Pawmi, the first ever Pikachu clone that could evolve. So what if all Pika clones could evolve? Let's find out. Hey everyone, Brandon here. No matter how disappointing its evolutionary line may have been, Pawmi has given us an official canon example of a Pikachu clone that can evolve. This opens the door to the possibility of future Pika clones evolving, or even past Pika clones getting retrofitted with their own evolutions. So let's speculate on what those evolutions might look like. All of the artwork in this video is done by the fantastic Foongoos Fakemon, so make sure to check them out. Starting us off are the first official Pika clones, and up until now the only Pika clone duo, Plusle and Minon. Some consider Pichu to be the first Pika clone, but given it already evolves into Pikachu, it doesn't have much merit in this video. Anyway, Plusle and Minon are incarnations of positive and negative electrical charges who cheer on their teammates by using little electric pom-poms. While they are clearly inspired by cheerleaders, I didn't want to just play more into that with their evolutions, but instead evolve their concept further. Instead of cheering on their teammates, what if they cheered them up instead? So when leveled up after learning the new move Rally, Plusle and Minon evolve into Multisol and Dedenne, the cheer up Pokemon. Instead of being cheerleaders, they are now based on clowns. While many view them as creepy, clowns are incredible entertainers in their own right and love to bring smiles to people's faces, make them laugh, and ultimately cheer them up. Multisol and Dedenne both play into the happy and sad clown motifs, with Multisol having a bright red coloration and more perked up ears for the happy clown, yet a more serious expression like a sad clown, and the inverse with Dedenne, whose coloration is blue, as in feeling blue, with droopy ears and a more happy expression. I also, of course, evolved the concept of their names, plus and minus, into multiply and divide, but their names end up sounding like multiple and division. Not only do their cheeks and tails have the symbol for multiplication and division, but you can see their buttons represent them too. I could see them both being electric fairy or even staying pure electric type. Either works, honestly. Multisol and Dedenne are constantly goofing around with each other, all in the hopes to make other Pokemon laugh. They make little balls of sparks that they can juggle with great dexterity. On to the MVP of Pika clones, Pachirisu. Unlike Plusle and Minon, who had a couple of concepts to bounce off of and expand, Pachirisu is just kind of an electric squirrel, and that's it. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, Pokemon are just a thing plus a type all the time, but it makes it difficult to create what feels like a fitting evolution. But I think I might have found a good path to go on. So with that said, here is Pachikiba, the Eleaf Squirrel Pokemon, an electric grass type. Pachikiba is based on the Norse mythical creature Ratatoskr, a squirrel that climbs up and down the world tree Yggdrasil, passing messages between the eagle and Vedrfolnir at the top of the tree and Nidhogg at the bottom. While I said there isn't much to go on design-wise with Pachirisu, there was something in its dex entry that aligned with this idea. Pachirisu likes to store little staticky balls of fur in trees along with berries. This berry and tree connection, along with the fact that Ratatoskr is depicted as green and gnaws on Yggdrasil, solidified it as a great candidate for Pachirisu's evolution, and solidified the grass typing in my mind. Ratatoskr's name translates to drill tooth or boar tooth, given its propensity to gnaw on Yggdrasil, but also in some depictions it has a horn or tusk coming out of its head. We gave Pachikiba extra big and sharp front teeth and made the spikes on its fur more drill-like to play into this. It is also where Pachikiba gets its name from. Kiba means tusk or fang in Japanese. Pachikiba zip up and down trees at insane speeds, leaving behind little trails of staticky fur that will shock passersby if they aren't paying attention. Some say this is intentional and Pachikiba does this out of malicious intent. Others believe it is just an unfortunate consequence of Pachikiba's hunt for berries. On to another squirrel Pika clone, Amolga. The wings and pattern on Amolga's body are vaguely reminiscent of the cape and cowl of a superhero. So Foongoos and I tried to expand upon that idea with Amolga's evolution, Ukanga, the sky hero Pokemon. We quite literally expanded its wings to give it better flight capability. Its pose evokes a typical flying superhero, but in combination with its giant wings is meant to emulate a hang glider. The evolution of its superhero look also references characters like Peter Parker or Riri Williams, who start off with a more basic supersuit but then receive upgrades. Ukanga's name comes from the Japanese word Yukon, which means bravery or heroism, and Imonga, which is Amolga's Japanese name. It also has manga in there, which are ostensibly Japanese comic books and have many of their own superpowered individuals within their pages. A Ukanga flying overhead is seen as a sign of hope. They are a beacon of light and justice, always coming to the aid of those in need. Though sometimes they have trouble landing since they are flying so fast, and sometimes end up knocking into walls or even the people they're trying to save. Next up is one of my personal favorite Pika clones, Dedenne. Dedenne's name and design are inspired by television antenna, and it can send and receive electrical waves from the whiskers on its cheeks. So to build upon that concept, I thought, what can send and receive waves at a greater capacity than just a regular television antenna? Well, what about a satellite? Which led me down to the first satellite, Sputnik, whose bulbous shape could meld perfectly with Dedenne's already bulbous design. So when we mix all this together, we get Dedenne, the satellite Pokemon. Ah! Look how round it is! It's so cute! Dedenne's name obviously comes from Dedenne and satellite, but it also makes the word delight, because isn't this Pokemon just a delight to look at? Another inspiration of Dedenne's design and typing is the French version of the Tooth Fairy, which is called La Petite Souris, or the Little Mouse, with Dedenne being one of the smallest Pika clones and a fairy type. Sputnik is also one of the smaller satellites, but when mixed into Dedenne's design, it makes it look like a little flying pixie, furthering its fairy typing. Sori also sounds like sorry in English, which further ties it into this concept. Also, the pattern of its fur is shaped to look like a little spacesuit. Dedenne fly over towns and cities, sending strong electrical waves back and forth from its multiple antenna-like appendages. If your television starts to go on the fritz and become fuzzy, it's most likely because a Dedenne has flown over your house. Onto my other favorite Pika clone, Togedemaru. I just love the little round ones, I guess. Speaking of, roundness is one of Togedemaru's defining design traits. The other two are its spikes and its tail that can be used as a lightning rod. We definitely wanted to keep all those things intact going into its evolution, so with that said, here is Tokideoki, the big basher Pokemon. It's just so incredible. It's enough to make a grown man cry. Tokideoki takes inspiration from another round, spiky, unique-tailed creature, the Doedicurus, as well as other Glyptodonts. While Glyptodonts are more closely related to modern armadillos, Doedicurus ties in really well with Togedemaru, and weirder things have happened in Pokemon. Togedemaru's name translates to spiky and round, so I took out the Maru and replaced it with Oki, which means large, huge, or walloping, because he is a big spiky boy. Tokideoki capture electricity in their mighty tail. When they slam it into something, it creates shockwaves that both reverberate and electrify what was hit, which makes for a doubly stunning effect. The third electric pouch on its head is used for extra storage space of electricity, making it a great resource at power plant. That brings us to Morpeko, who presents an interesting case given it is the only Pika clone with multiple forms. So there are two options we could go with as far as an evolution. We could keep it as one Pokemon and let it keep the forms idea, or we can make it a split evolution that evolves based on which form it is in when it levels up. I thought the latter of the two would be more interesting, but these evolutions could also work as form switches. So when leveled up in full belly mode, Morpeko evolves into Morgatsu, the glutton Pokemon. With Morgatsu, we fleshed out the more gluttonous elements of Morpeko's full belly form, giving it bigger hands to hold food in and bigger hands to hold food with, crumbs all over its face with a little food-stained mustache, the pattern on its chest emulates a bib, and overall its body is thicker. Morgatsu's name comes from Gatsu Gatsu, which is the Japanese onomatopoeia for voracious, which means to devour lots of food. Morgatsu never stops eating. This leads to it constantly generating vast amounts of electricity, which it expends in massive bursts. On the other side of the coin, when Morpeko levels up while in hangry mode, it becomes Morheta, the famished Pokemon. Rather than the more figurative way people say, "I'm starving," this design is meant to evoke a literal starving individual, with Morheta having a more gaunt and emaciated appearance. It also looks more scraggly and angry, which ups the dark typing of this design. Morheta's name comes from the phrase Haraheta, which means I'm hungry just like Harapeko does from Morpeko's name, but Haraheta is a more crude way of saying it, typically associated with macho men. Morheta is always scavenging for its next meal. It will steal food right off of people's plates, no matter what their social stature. Morgatsu and Morheta both also play up the slight Jekyll and Hyde inspiration of Morpeko, with Morgatsu having a bit more of a refined look and mustache, and Morheta being more boorish with big old mutton chops. To further this concept, I could see their type splitting as well, with Morgatsu being pure electric type and Morheta being pure dark. And those are the Pika clone evolutions, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.